Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another video. Now, after doing a video about what kind of lure I like to use entering the winter, I had to do one for the flies, of course, and made me think what if I had to pick different types of flies for the winter time. I'm talking entering now mid-October, end of October, November, December, January, February. If you like here, we do not have a closed season for pike fishing, so we're lucky to be carrying right through. Depends on if you want to or not, but that's another subject. But uh, yeah, what type of flies I use in the winter, and I kind of narrow it down to a few. And another thing I realize as well is that quite a few of those fly that I'm using have not been featured yet in the tying sessions. So it's something for me to catch up on. And I intend to do that back for December. December tying sessions will come back and they'll come in short video, like 10-15 minutes tying video. They're kind of old school that I used to do just with a bit of music and fast forward type of videos. And but then the same flies will be applied to the live streams. So live streams will be back from December. So make sure you click on that notification bell and on that subscribe button. So like that you won't miss the live streams. I'll try to keep them early weekend. I think we done a poll. I'll redo a poll again entering the live stream before December and to see what suits everyone and what time, what day. And so make sure you participate on that. Probably do the poll on Instagram. It's the easiest for me. So follow me there if you haven't. And we get that wrapped up and the live stream will be back in December. So coming back into winter. Now, not talking about this year because this year is very strange. We're suffering here with a lack of water, believe it or not, in Ireland. Rivers are really low. It's a kind of a very different ball game. Season is really late here. But what do I use for the winter time? In no particular order, all right. But I kind of classify them in one, two, three, four categories. And no particular order. We're going to start with the flies that have very heavy in flash, a lot of flash onto the fly. Flash flies, whatever you want to call them, but mainly a lot of flash. Basically, everything is flash apart from the head. Um, so you have the old school classic to go down, the the whistler, the pike whistler, old school. This one still catches tons of pike. Very simple, super easy fly to cast in the winter too, because you have to bear in mind that winter brings wind, brings bad conditions, and sometimes casting really big flies, it's not ideal, and they don't always produce big flies compared to big lures. Um I have simply, I think, because of the way that you're handling them and the depth you fish. So usually I tend to fish more smaller to medium-sized flies and push more onto different visual aspect like flash. So then coming back then for that visual aspect, I like flash because even if you strip very slowly or you're on a pause, something that's really heavy in flash like this is a kind of a kinky muddler. It's compacted fiber, compacted Congo fiber that is trimmed after to get into the shape of a bait fish. This one has done so well that there's no eyes and it's still doing really well with no eyes. So that's why I never bothered to put eyes back on it. Really, really good color here. That kind of a bronze and uh, breamy, golden, and copper flash works really really good for the waters here. So that's one kind of a flash that I use, that kinky muddler type, that'll be in the fly tying sessions. Here's another one. This one is an articulated one that I've been working on. Same thing, very based on the kinky muddler, but not as much of a tight head. But it's an articulated one with a nice shank at the front, and of course a really heavy flash tails. Now, why do I use heavy flash tails? Simply because you can fish that really slowly, and especially the days that you get that little bit of light coming through. If you get a little bit of sunshine or something like this is one I would be taking them. Or if it's yeah, you have a little brightness in the day, that's when I would be using them, because even on a very slow retrieve, or even on a pause, you're going to have that flash. Just, it's always going to be moving no matter what. Even if you leave it for 10-20 seconds sitting there, it's still going to be moving slowly. So it has that life into the flash flies that I really like for winter fishing. And it can, on the fast retrieve, you can have some very aggressive response as well, kind of trigger response from the pike. Another color that I really enjoy fishing in the winter, it's that kind of a white, purpley, blue, silver mix. This is one that's one of the subscriber has tied, that sent me them. Dirk, you recognize probably this one. I really like that fly. Nice color for the winter. I don't know, is it the idea of the cold blue and silver? But it's funny, it does work in the winter time, for me here anyway. So that's first type of flies that I would be using. If you get that tiny little glimpse of brightness and a little bit of winter sunshine, if you're lucky, in between the in between the skies and the showers, if you get that sunshine, switch on to a nice little flashy flies like that, that can bring the goods home. Now, if you're going with something a little bit more dull and gray, like we have mostly here, you want something that's gonna push water. You want something that disturb the water a lot. So for this, in the same type of category that I would put this, I'd like to use first all that has a body tubing head. I'm a really big fan to the body tubing head for two reasons. It pushes a lot of water, and it changes the swim as well. It's a bit like a jerk type of fly. No matter how you strip, it's always, because it's most of the one I use are always articulated at the front. So no matter on the strip, that bump that it's going to create in the water, it's going to change the direction. So it's very unpredictable kind of fly to fish for the action, and sometimes it's something that pike really like, and it has that effect of going sideways as well. So on the pose, when you strip, you're going to push water, and then on the rest, it's going to turn slide sideways. And usually it's really big response. That's why I like glide bait so much when I lure fish. It's because you just present the dinner sideways to the pike, and usually when it's just sitting there, they either way they run away because they're not interested, or they're gonna hit that fly, and usually they're gonna hit it sideways. Hence the name of the T-bone flies. To this, I really like adding a wiggle tail, something that it's gonna move a lot of water behind. So either way, the commercial wiggle tail from Paolo, the wiggle tail dragon tails, I recommend more the dragon tails because of the shape they have. They are easier to cast in the wind. Again, you want something that's easy to cast for the winter time, and or you can make them yourself. That's a homemade one on faux chamois, on faux leather. I'm trying to, if my editing is to par, I'm trying to put here or here somewhere. I'm going to put the link to the videos that will help you. Video how to make your tail for this one, and a video for another fly here as well. I tried to put this up there, so you just can go and click on that. Now on the kind of T-bone body tubing flies are like two types. Either way, with bucktail for the body. So because it's kind of heavy with the hardware of the hook and the shank, and the body tubing, it's tend to be a fly that's going to sink a little bit fast. So if you want to neutralize that sinking ability, just do one just with bucktail. So that's going to give you a slower fly. Now, if you want to fish deeper column, deeper water column, and you don't want to wait too long, I go for all synthetic body. Simple Congo, and there's some Angelina fiber in that, I think. And that's it. That'll sink a little bit faster. And then you can create a hybrid as well, which is synthetic front and bucktail middle side. So that again will be, I'll be doing live streams with those type of flies. But that would be my T-bones, and like I say, no particular order because it all depends on the day and the situation. But that's when I like to use those. Dull gray moment, dump them, push a lot of water, fantastic fly. Now for Sem, if you want something that push a lot of water and has a big presence in the water, I would go for the chicken fly. Chicken fly, I'm gonna put the link to that to there up here. Most of mine have been destroyed now, and I didn't have time to retie any. But for show, I have one that Dirk, you've tied for me, and I really appreciate it. I don't even want to get it nicked by Pike because it's a beautiful one. But the chicken fly is basically a very heavy bucktail head and body on a very smooth articulated shank, leaving no hair in the articulation, so you have very little tangle in the articulation, as those ones, because the articulation and the hair is so packed, or when it gets wet it kind of collapses onto the other part, so you don't have the same freedom of movement that on these ones. You can see they just move very, very loosely and easily, and the other point of having that big thick head of bucktail is that they are basically floating flies. Because of the hardware you have inside, you have to be careful how you tie them. It's all a question of trial and errors. I suppose either way you put way too much bucktail or you pack it too hard and they just want to sit on top of the water. You do not want that. You want something that sits barely on top of the water, but that a sink 3 or sink 6 line will drag down. That's what you want to achieve. You fish that a little bit like a booby fly for trout. So you want to fish that on a short leader. I usually shorten my leader. I have something like 80 centimeter after the fly line, and then your bite proof bottom, and that's it. Very short leader, so that you don't wait too much and you don't want a fly to be sitting too high and basically do nothing up there, because the line goes down and the fly is still there. You want to bring that fly down. So short leader, and depends where you fish. I usually go from a sink 3 to a sink 6 for that one. 6 for the depth that I fish, up to 5 meters, works really well here. The other advantage on this is that it's a really, really, really slow animation, because you're going to do a slow strip, because you don't want to disturb that fly line and bring it back up too fast. You really want to let everything sit down. So you're going to do a slow strip, so a lot of movement again. You can do a slow strip and finish it with a tiny little jerk. So that's usually what I like. It's like a long, slow strip and a tiny little jerk at the end, just to get it moving, and then changing direction at the end. Long pause, so that fly is going to kind of switch and turn, and then you're going to have that like slow rise back up to the surface, because naturally that one is going to want to go back up to the top and proceed again to the stripping. So chicken fly is another really good winter fly for me. They all kind of slow and visual and lateral line sensory. After, another type that I really like, and I realize, oh my God, I only have a vlog on that fly when I was in the process of developing that fly. So link the vlog up there if you want to go and watch it. It's the Crisscross, and this one, it's tied, kind of game changer, lots of movement, and it's tied, as you can see, on a jig hook, on a big jig hook with weight at the bottom. Just a little bit of dumbbells here to make sure that that hook is sitting right at the top. You don't want that fly to kind of spin around, especially with the eye. Be careful not to put too much glue on top, because you don't want that fly to turn around like this. It has to fish with the hook up. So again, trial and error in your tying on the weight. You can add, on this, I add a really long heavy shank at the back to get extra weight. So the fly, I'm sure it sits properly. So again, you can watch the vlog if you want, but there will be a full tying video on this one, and a full uh, live stream as well. But this one, the idea is that that one, it's going to go right down to the bottom mostly, has a really good presence because on that side thing. So if it's pass over the pike, it has a really good big presence compared to another one that will be passing like sideways like this. If you have a bait fish, that's probably what they see. On this one, this is what they see. Really jerky movement it has. So you can jerk it really fast, small strips, let it go down like this. Or you can let it go down and again sun stripped, long strip, drag it down, and a little strip at the end to let it lift a little bit. Really high visual big 20 mil eye on it, but I found that it made absolute feck all difference between the one with a big eye and the one with no eyes at all. So this has been catching really well for me. And the way you tie it is just crisscrossing the whole thing. It's made on one, two, three shanks, yes, and then the hook, three parts. I done some with wiggle tail and all, but I found that the nicest, natural, most natural, it's something with just a feather tail. So there you go. That's the crisscross. That's another type that I like fishing for the winter. And lastly, the last one that I like fishing, and unfortunately, it's still in. I've been working about 2 years on this one, and it's coming to its fruits now. So there's a lot of things that I don't post on Instagram or Facebook or on YouTube that I do on the side. So I haven't given up on fly fishing and things like that. Don't worry, but I'm always developing things, and I like to give it a good run. And on this type of fly, it's a longer run that I'm giving it. So, but that one will be coming soon. There'll be a little teaser, and yeah, that'll be coming December for that one. But that'll be a really good one for the winter. So that'll be a surprise. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and yeah, hope you have a good winter time. And I'll catch you soon. Thanks for watching and goodbye.